Hello, everyone. This time on the agenda, we're talking about a seat that doesn't make headlines, but it does shape futures, a school board election in Lake Forest School District. Now, before you tune out thinking it's just another local vote, pause, because what happens in school board meetings today determines how your children are educated tomorrow. It decides whether a teacher stays or a teacher walks away, whether a student is seen or left behind. Darrell Hughes, he's running for the seat. He's not a career politician. He's not backed by any party machine. He's a concerned citizen, stepping up because, like many of you, he's tired of the direction of things and the way that they're headed. He says it's time for better transparency, stronger engagement with families, and a leadership that actually listens. So today, we ask, what would he do differently? And why should you trust him to lead? Let's find out right here on the agenda. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the agenda. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're continuing our segment on school board elections. We're excited. We're not just dealing with Newcastle County. We're not just dealing with Kent County. We're dealing with Sussex. Yes, Delaware only has 3 counties, but we're active in all 3, and we're excited about it. Continuing the conversation today, we have Mr. Darrell Hughes. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Hughes. And we also have Michaela, and she is from Howard High School, and she is going to Del State, and she is going to be hosting a segment right here on DETV called DETV Teens. We're excited. She's going to add in, but I think it's great for her to be on the show today, and let me tell you why. Because she is in the trenches. She knows what schools need. She knows what she's not receiving from the school, and we can have an active conversation and bring that all in. We're going to have that all here for you right now on the agenda. Mr. Hughes, Michaela, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
No problem. Mr. Hughes, thank you for joining and being willing to talk about why you are the next candidate. You believe that you are the right candidate for school board in Lake Forest. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and why you feel that you're the right choice.
Well, I graduated from Lake Forest.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Harrington. After graduation, I had went into the military, spent some time in the military, come back home. I feel like I can bring that military structure is what's needed to the board, where that firm, fair, consistent is definitely needed. That's what I can bring. I hold everybody accountable for their actions, for their lack of actions. I'm the type that is proactive and not reactive.
Right.
And that's what the school district needs.
That sound leadership and judgment you feel that you're bringing to the school district if elected. But my question is, in the current state, we've talked to Ms. Barton, Secretary of Education for the state of Delaware. We've talked to the governor. We've talked to constituents. We've spoken to so many people. And in the state of Delaware's education, why do you feel like that you're choosing now to do this?
Now, with everything that's going on with the government, dismantling the education system, kids are becoming left behind. People's attitudes are totally different than when we grew up. You have people that gives up easily, where when we were growing up, the teachers fought for us to get what we needed, to get the education we needed.
Without exception.
They never gave up. Exactly. They never gave up. But we're talking about another time period too also. You know, I hate to say this, but we were a lot more respectful, you know, than a lot of the kids are nowadays. So that plays a role. But at the same time, and this is I talked to a teacher or a few teachers. Accountability, structure, and support plays a long way.
It does.
It goes a long way.
It does.
Teachers must have support and structure from the administration, especially support. Like I said, I've spoken to a few teachers that had left the district because of that issue, because of the lack of respect from some of the children and not having the backing from the administration.
And you feel that if chosen to be a member of the school board, you can assist in that conversation or create requirements and policies so that does not happen?
Most definitely. Once again, everyone needs to be held accountable. I will be that type of person to pull that administrator to the side and say, hey, what is going on with this? We all know, you can kind of equate it to the prison system. When the inmates know that you don't have the backing from the administration, they'll run all over the COs.
Okay.
So you can kind of look at it that way. When a student knows that they don't have, that a teacher doesn't have any backing from an administrator, there's no respect there. The respect is lost.
So what is it? I mean, I know that you talk to teachers.
Correct.
And you're having a good conversation with them and kind of talking about, I don't want to call them your dreams because these are things that could be reality fairly soon.
Yes.
But your plan, let's call it a plan, right? What feedback are you getting from them?
From the teachers?
Yeah.
It's, as I said, in one of the cases.
And Lake Forest has what, 6, 7 schools, somewhere around there?
Right.
I mean, is it a common theme? Are there common themes?
I would say honestly, I would say the most common theme is there's too many friends within the district. And what I mean by that is I'm gonna vote for you just because you're my friend, because we grew up together, or my father grew up with your father, or we might have, our kids played in Pee Wee.
The good old boy network, the Delaware way.
Exactly.
So you don't have actual qualified people in these positions?
You may have actual qualified people. The problem is the ones that are, and I'm not gonna say that they're not compassionate, because I know I'm compassionate.
Right.
However, because I'm not a part of that network, it's hard for me to get in.
Right.
So I'm reaching out to the voters to say, hey, when are we gonna break this cycle and bring in people that will hold these folks accountable? I'm not just talking about teachers, I'm talking about administrators, I'm talking about parents. The problem is, like I said, it goes back to that friend word, because you have parents that are more friends with their children than they are parents. You have administrators that are more friends with these kids than they are supervisors.
Right.
So what policies are you going to put in place to ensure that gets kicked to the curb?
Well, as you know, school board is a group.
Right.
So I can say whatever kind of policy that I may bring. I can say what my concerns are, but as a collective whole, we have to come to an agreement. We have to come together, and that's what I'm asking is we all, if I am elected, we all have to come together so that we can stop this. You know, as we know, it takes a village to raise these kids.
Right.
If we don't have that village, who's the kids are the ones that are getting left behind. I ask, I say. You know, we have to come together, sit down together, construct these policies. But once again, the friendship has to leave. It has to. This is a business. You can look at it as a business. We're in the business of raising these children up, because you got to think some of these children don't have parents.
What happens to them after 4 p.m., 3 p.m., 2 p.m., whatever time they get out?
Exactly.
It's scary.
Exactly, and that's what I told my son. You know, one of the other issues was bullying. I told my son, I said, listen, you don't know what these kids go through. For some of these kids, from the hours of 7:30 until 2:30, 3 o'clock, that is maybe the best time of their lives. Because when they go back home, they're the ones taking care of their younger siblings.
It's hell. It's hell. Michaela, I have a question for you. I mean, being a soon-to-be recent grad.
Yes,
right?
I'm a senior now, everybody.
Right. Senior in high school. What do you feel, what are you not seeing? And we're going to, as going as part of a VOTEC education at Howard, but what are you not seeing in the classroom? Do you feel prepared? Going to the next step, which you said will be Delaware State University, do you feel as though you're ready?
From an academic standpoint, I'd say no. I think that, and speaking on something you said about the village, I think I had to create my own village. And a lot of students don't have the communication skills now to be able to ask for help and willingly go out and seek it, because over the last few years, we've had a big learning loss in general, just because we came from a pandemic. And I know that's repetitive to say, but it had a big impact on us. And like
the rebound just wasn't there.
The rebound just wasn't there. It wasn't, because like you said before, there's a lot of adults, administrators, teachers who give up very easily. People who don't feel like being in education anymore. People want to start more businesses, work for themselves. People just don't want to work anymore, because even now we are creating a microwavable society to where people are able to do other things outside of, standard education quick. Success quickly and other things, right? So the whole center here is getting lost, because everybody feels like there's no way to control it, because it's just like, oh, let's blame it on the pandemic. Let's blame it on cell phones. Let's blame it on social media. But nobody's really trying to fix it. So with
you don't feel that the teachers, you don't feel like the principals, you don't feel like, you're not seeing that as a student, that you're saying, hey, okay, we've identified the problem, which we're great at Delaware of doing, but you're just not feeling as though those problems are being fixed. Right.
Even with curriculum, simple stuff in class. If students don't know how to send a proper email.
And you're seeing a lot of that.
Or call somebody on the phone and say, hey, I'm inquiring about a job. When can I come in for an interview professionally? It's a lack of professional development. How are we going to live?
How are we going to continue? And talking about that, that's not found in NAEP scores. That is something that's completely different. But how do you feel after hearing this from the mouth of a student?
I'm glad she said that, because that is one of the things that I want to change. I want to get back. You remember, like I said, when we were in school, we had home ec. That taught us how to do laundry. That taught us everyday living. These children doesn't even know how to write their name in cursive.
Cursive takes out so many people these days.
So how are you going to be able to buy a home if you can't even sign your name on the loan? A standard clock. If it's not for smartphones
and digital
watches,
they have no clue.
They
you
have
tell them
no
it's a
clue
quarter
at all.
of. You might as
like
well
what?
say,
it's like talking. You're in another world.
Right.
I want to see more technical in school.
Technical proficiency.
Yes.
Not only for just knowing basic operating systems, but from a manufacturing standpoint.
Yes.
And I love Southern Delaware. My roots are in Southern Delaware, but we have to be more than poultry. We have to be more than agriculture.
Correct.
We need to learn circuitry. We need to understand what that does, and bringing that economic driver into the state, I think is very important. But I can tell you this. If we do not have the proficiencies, we're not going to win the work.
Right.
And right now, if we're 45th in the nation in regards to education, and I do believe that our governor, who I trust, has a plan, and I believe he's working towards a plan of correction, but it's going to take a few years. So I believe that it is important for school board members to really push this on our own and to move this forward. Like you said, we don't have the federal government anymore backing us. We just don't have it.
Correct.
We don't have that leadership that we once had. And say what you want about the federal government, but what it provided was a standard. What it provided was a standard of equity. And yes, I said equity. I said inclusion. And now we don't have that. So I hope that school districts, state governments don't take advantage of it. And although they say that they won't, but you never know. And ensuring that all this is trickling down, matriculating to be the best, create the best student we possibly can. That's ready for the world. That's ready to go after those jobs and do those things. But if I'm hearing now as a parent, as a taxpayer more than anything, because that bill comes whether I want it to or not, that cursive is knocking our kids out. That time is knocking our kids out. That there's basic things not happening. Man, this is serious. Do you believe that your opponent shares your same views?
I really don't know if he does, but I can say this. If he did, then these things would already be on the agenda.
Oh.
Do you see what I mean?
We would have better outcomes.
Yes, you've been on the board long enough to where you could voice and have these things on the agenda. I'll tell you another thing that I would change. The board meeting itself. I would want to change it because say you guys are parents. They give you 3 minutes to come up and talk. And that's and you come up and talk for those 3 minutes, and trust me, the 3 minutes are on that board, counting down. So not only are you focusing on those 3 minutes, now you're trying to get out everything you can get out, and you're fumbling. And then after the meeting, you're like, oh my God, I should have said this, I should have said that. I want to change that. I think that if you're going to come to a board meeting and we're going to have an open discussion, let's discuss this. That's the only way. I wouldn't want to come to a board meeting, talk for 3 minutes, and then have to get my answer next month.
So having that, and some people can call it transparency. I just call it basic communication.
Correct.
Right,
Just
and that's
basic
lacking now.
communication,
That's
right?
lacking.
And that's just not there.
You're right.
That's just not there. You're saying in the Lake Forest School District as a whole, or just during the board meetings?
The board meetings.
So do you feel as though the district is doing the very best that it can, or do you feel as though changes need to be made there as well?
I feel as though changes need to be made from the top down. And I'm not saying anyone needs to be fired. God forbid, I'm not saying that. What I am saying is just some changes need to be made. You have a lot of parents that frustrates that gives off their frustrations, whether on social media, whether over the phone, emails, but you won't come to the board meetings. We have to look at that and say, why aren't you coming to the board meetings? One of the reasons, which I think, is because you're only allowed 3 minutes to speak. And after those 3 minutes, the board doesn't have to respond back to you. So why would I want to come to a board meeting, basically talk to a wall, because you're not getting any feedback? That discourages a lot of people. Once again, I wouldn't want to come to a board meeting, have to fumble through my words 3 minutes, not have any kind of feedback whatsoever, and then sit back for a month to see, I wonder if they even.
So what is it about the current school board that's happening that's making you say, daggone, I'm sick of it. I need to do something. I need to run.
Well, between that what I just explained about, I believe that there should be more diversity. Right now, we have a board of 5. There's 3 Caucasian ladies and 2 Caucasian males. We all know that, say, an African-American young man would look at me more as a person that they could say be compared with. We'll put it that way.
That understands their needs, that they can see eye to eye with, and you can,
before they would look at a Caucasian Caucasian guy. Same thing with a young Hispanic lady
Is diversity a problem? Is discrimination a problem in Lake Forest?
I will put it this way, and I will say allegedly, but from talking to a lot of constituents, talking to a lot of the public, yes.
They don't feel that there's an equal balance, and they feel that there's favoritism due to race.
Correct. And this goes back to, once again, this goes back to that friends word, what I was speaking about.
Right.
The good old boy network.
When you have friends of friends of friends, certain things are allowed, certain things aren't. You see what I mean? People, once again, it goes back to what I was saying about the star quarterback or the star basketball player. And this is what's been told to me too from various teachers. Administration comes to them and say, "Oh, can you just pass them?" Allegedly, but can you just pass them through? Once again, who are you hurting?
Students.
Correct. Because as I said,
do you see this, Michaela, in high school?
Oh yeah, and I'm glad you said this.
Howard High School is a very athletic high school.
Yes, and just high schools in general in Upper Delaware, and like I do sports interviews, so I see a lot of this stuff firsthand. You have people playing that have a 1.2 GPA.
Is that proven? Is that alleged?
That's proven. And you have those conversations happen so much. Oh, just pass them. There's people who are reading at a 4th grade level.
That I believe.
In 12th grade.
Yep.
Does that make sense? No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
You have people, like I said before, that cannot write essays, cannot send emails, cannot do basic stuff, but are being passed along continuously because I don't know if the education system just doesn't want to deal with those extra kids or people that need that, or they can't, or that need that extra support.
What it comes down to is it's all about the numbers.
In the school,
let me see, pass them through so my numbers will look good for the Department of Education.
Right.
Not on my watch. You see what I mean? Because once again, it only hurts the kid.
Right.
As I said, the kid doesn't have, he may get a scholarship to Del State or somewhere. But do you have a plan B? Right. He's reading at a 4th grade level.
It's going to show up eventually.
It will. And like I said, God forbid that the kid goes out, breaks a leg, something like that, career's over.
What is depend on that. You can't fall back on that. Exactly.
Yeah. Where are you going now?
Right.
Because you were passed through, because there was no accountability, there was nobody to hold any accountability to these superintendents, these administrations, the administrators. Now the kid is where?
Yeah. So in a perfect world, you would be elected in 30 days or what have you?
May 13th.
May 13th. Wow.
Oh, that's coming up.
That's flying by. What would be your first 90 days? What would be your agenda? What would you put out there for change? What would be the things that you would do if elected right away?
First and foremost, going back to what you said about the teachers.
Right.
If you treat people and make them family, make them feel like family, 9 times out of 10, they're more to stay. They're not going anywhere. Because a lot of these teachers, even though they might give up, but what are the reasons why they're giving up?
Right.
A lot of times, like I said, I think that a lot of reasons why they're giving up is because they don't have no backing from the administration. So if you have backing from the administration and you make it clear that, hey, we are going to back these teachers because they're the worker ants. These guys are the backbone. That's where we need to start. We need to start from the top and work our way down. And once we do that, things will fall in place for the kids. The teachers will stay. The teachers will continue to love what they do. Right now, teachers are not going to love what they do.
So that's the feeling. They're just kind of like,
yeah, because once
grinding
again,
it out.
Because once again, you have a kid. Just saying, you have a kid. You tell him, "Hey, go sit down." Now, don't get me wrong, but respect plays both ways. But if you tell this kid, "Hey, please have a seat," and he just totally or he or she just totally cusses you out. You see it on social media every day. And you tell them, "Go down to just get out of my classroom. You're disturbing the whole class. There are 29 other students here that want to learn. Just because you don't want to learn, just remove yourself for the day." And he or she goes down to the principal's office, and it's just wiped away, swept under the rug. How would you feel? Your whole morale as a teacher would be crushed. It happens.
Students get sent back, all that.
So
They sent right straight back. As soon as you tell them to get out of the class, they're sent right back.
Right.
So in our last moments, tell us why you should be elected.
As I said, because I'm bringing firm, fair, consistent treatment for everyone. I don't play sides.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely not a part of the good old boy system.
Mm-hmm.
I never have been.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like I said, once you bring that firm, fair, consistent from the top, bring it down, everything will start to fall in place as it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think, once again, it should be diversity within the board. That plays a heavy role. With diversity, there might be more community participation. There might be more people that's gonna say, okay, well, maybe he can understand, as a single father, he can understand my perspective.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The problem, like I said, the problem lies is you have a tiny area, and when you get everybody that knows everybody, okay, he's in the volunteer fire department with constant or with numerous others.
Right.
Okay, so regardless, we don't even know we don't even know your outlook on things. We're just gonna vote for you because
we know you.
We know you. You're my buddy.
Right.
And here it is. You have someone like myself who is very compassionate and wants change, wants to see more curriculum in the school district, wants to bring more tech, more plumbing, HVAC. Building maintenance.
I think that's where the real money is.
Yes. you see it all the time where you have a lot of these kids come out of college and they can't even get a job for the degree that they went.
Hey.
And now you're thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars in debt. You have to be forced to live at home because we all know how things are just getting more and more expensive.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't even get a 1-bedroom apartment without paying close to $2,000.
Right.
Now, how is a kid that's went to school for, say, accounting, but yet you can't find any accounting jobs here? You end up working at, just say, Purdue or somewhere like that, and now you're struggling.
Yeah.
That's why I want more tech, more hands-on.
Mm-hmm.
As you said, some of these guys is HVAC, plumbing, carpentry, making close to $80,000-$90,000 a year.
Very easily, without trying.
Yes.
They're doing that.
And can have your own business.
I think that your goals, what you want for the school district, for Lake Forest School District, is real.
Yes.
I want to thank you for sharing that information here, not only for your constituents, but for us.
Thank you.
And I know that one way or another, you are going to be a factor in that school district, whether they want it or not.
Yes.
Michaela, tell us a little bit about where we can find you.
All right, guys. Like I said before, my name is Michaela, also known as Michaela Gray, also known as M. Dilla. And you can find me on Instagram and YouTube at The Great Podcast, TheGreatPodcast. Thank you.
It's a lot of letters. It's a lot of
Right, you see me trying to keep up.
It's a lot of letters. Well, we've said it before and we'll say it again. School board elections matter. They may not come with campaign rallies or cable news coverage, but they decide who gets the voice in the room. And when decisions are made about your children, your schools, and your tax dollars, it's important to have that voice in the room. Darrell Hughes showed up tonight. That counts for something. Now, showing up isn't everything, but it's a start. And while he won't solve everything overnight, no one will. What you heard tonight is someone asking for a shot to lead with honesty, visibility, and intent. To the voters of Lake Forest, if you care about public education, show up too, because silence at the election ballot is still a vote. And whether you like what's happening in your schools or you hate it, you only get to complain if you don't participate. if you participate. This is the agenda. Good night.